Hello and welcome to Science Unscripted. It's Conor here.
And Gabe.
We are going to start with one email here, and it's about something you talked about, Gabe, a couple weeks back. The email starts off, just listen to your report on finasteride. I'll leave it there.
That is the hair loss drug. And we were talking about it because a study came out about the effect that it can have on your psyche. Depression, anxiety, all the way to suicidal thoughts, and the extent to which you have those if you are taking that drug for hair loss compared to if you're taking it for enlarged prostate, where those effects aren't there at all. And
Right.
That's kind of what this email was about here.
Right. On to some other science now. Starting with something from the Max Planck Institute for the study of crime, security, and law down in Freiburg, Germany. They took a look at youth crime. Broadly defined,
What age here?
24 and under, youth crime. And where we are now, today, in 2025, specifically when you compare it to all the way back to 1990. I don't know if you have a guess on this?
What part of the globe?
Globally.
Globally. I'm saying it's gone up 12%.
Wow, that's a really specific guess. Down everywhere. Just almost without exception. Obviously, it depends what kind of crimes you're looking at and which age groups. Yeah. Down significantly across the globe. Amongst the crimes, what is down significantly or the most significantly are property crimes. So anything from something happening to your personal automobile, to your bicycle, to your home, those are way down. What is not way down or as far down are violent crimes. Those are still there. Also, interestingly, there used to be a much larger difference between the number of those crimes committed by young men or boys versus girls, and the steepest drop has been among those young men and boys, meaning that disparity or that gap is now closing.
That's good news.
It's great news, and what I find interesting about it is the question is why.
Yeah.
Why would that be happening? It's great. It's wonderful.
Was there a hypothesis offered there from
Couple of
the authors?
Couple of them. One, young people are drinking less alcohol than ever before.
Yeah.
You hear people say this anecdotally. It's backed up by statistics around the world. I'm looking at Statista, a reputable data site. You can look at it yourself. It's called Gen Z, the more sober generation, and they looked at 10,000 U.S. residents between July 22 and June 2023. I'll just pass it over there, Gabe. Gen Z is compared here against millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, and every kind of drink.
This is a bar graph here with 4 colors.
Yeah, every kind of drink. So you have wine, beer, spirits, and then I believe seltzers is on there. Only seltzers. Only there do they drink almost as much.
Even close, yeah.
Are they even close? Everywhere else they're lower.
All the hard stuff, not even half.
Yeah, they're really not drinking nearly as much as the older generations, and hence a drop in crime among them. There's also less uncontrolled time with peers, and this is a combination of things. So phones, tablets, computer games, video game consoles, streaming services. There's just a lot more entertainment out there for yourself without your friends. Also spending more time at school and closer parental supervision. There are studies from all around the world. In this paper, they mention Iceland, New Zealand, Netherlands, Sweden, England, and Wales again, that closer parental supervision, sometimes called helicopter parenting, is leading to a further drop in crime. That's good news. Yeah. I think there's a part of this study where they sort of get at the idea that there may be more loneliness as well, that there's a sort of increase in loneliness because you're not out there with your friends hanging out and
committing crimes.
And so you're lonely because you miss those crimes. That would be one negative result, but obviously a drop in crime is fantastic. That's good news.
Yes.
You can look up the paper, The International Youth Crime Drop, Evidence and Explanations in the journal Crime and Justice. But if you want to read it, it's not open access. I've said this on the show before. You just email the authors. If you're not going to use it for commercial purposes, they usually get back to you and give you the PDF. So that's Dietrich Oberwittler down in Freiburg, and up in Malmö, Sweden, Robert Svensson.
Yeah. Sticking with young people, here also in the States, this is a study done out of the University of Michigan, and I will say that we're going to be returning to this topic in much, much more depth at the end, in the second part of the show when we have our interview. It's about insomnia or trouble sleeping, And here, the rate at which young people are using alcohol and cannabis to fall asleep. Over 1 in 5. They do this monitoring the future study at the University of Michigan. Been doing it since 1975.
I was going to say I've seen that the name of that study.
It's a huge longitudinal study, and for the first time ever, they've used all that data to look at whether young people are self-medicating, using cannabis and alcohol to fall asleep, and they are in a big way.
Is it an and or an and/or?
Let me get to that here. 18% of those asked said that they were using cannabis to fall asleep.
What?
And 7% said they were using alcohol to fall asleep, specifically to fall asleep.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So well over 1 in 5 is using either or, and 18% using cannabis, 7% using alcohol to fall asleep.
So it's not when you say 18%, which is almost 20%, it's not the case that if you walk down the street, 1 out of 5 people is using it to fall asleep?
Yes. Between the ages of 19 and 30, 1 out of 5 of those people is using cannabis, 18%, so almost 1 in 5 is using cannabis to fall asleep, and 7%, just a little less than 1 in 10.
But then probably sometimes, right? So if this is, it depends on their criteria, but if the time scale is, within the last 3 months or 6 months or a year, have you, like if you're stressed or worked up and can't fall asleep?
No, this is regularly.
Regularly?
Yes.
Wow.
That's why these numbers alarmed scientists at the University of Michigan, and it's just a fact. That's all this study is. But what I wanted to talk about here is something I learned at rehab, because I went there for alcohol abuse, but also I had trouble sleeping. And the thing that they wanted to make abundantly clear to me there, because there is a public misconception, even though these things can help you fall asleep, alcohol and cannabis, they hurt your sleep quality in the short term, and absolutely in the long term. It's going to be much harder to fall asleep if you're using these things as a sleep aid. Because in the case of cannabis, the reason why it helps you fall asleep, it is a sedative. When you either smoke marijuana or take a gummy or however you inhale it or get it into your body, it increases the level of adenosine, which is a neurotransmitter that brings your alert system down. It makes you feel drowsy, puts you into sleep, but you get less REM sleep. You get a lot of the non-REM sleep. There are 3 stages of that. Mm-hmm. Less REM sleep. It messes with your dreams. Yeah, you're going to wake up more, even though initially in the first period of sleep, you're going to have deeper sleep, but then you're going to wake up more towards the end of the night and possibly feel less rested in the morning. In alcohol, it's the same thing, but even worse. There, the neurotransmitter is GABA, which is also linked to alcohol. That shuts your entire central nervous system down, especially at a higher concentration. And in both of these cases, like I said, the non-REM sleep is better at the start, but because as you metabolize the alcohol, your BAC goes down, your blood alcohol concentration goes down, and then your body switches back to the first stage of non-REM sleep. So you're getting up because of that. Your whole sleep architecture is the fancy word that scientists use. It gets all messed up because your body's like, I missed that first stage. I went right into the deep stage. I went way deep at the beginning because I'm so bombed, you know what I mean? So then you jump back to the initial stage, and in the process, wake up because of that and don't get the REM sleep. So your dreams, again, are all messed up. All your memory consolidation, all the cognitive good stuff that you get from sleep is not there. And with alcohol in particular, you build a tolerance to it. You need more to get that GABA up there to knock you out. You're drinking way more. And what began as a sleep aid can easily sneak up and become a problem during the day.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the...
Sorry, that to go on a rant there.
No, I'm you know some of this personally.
Yeah, from firsthand, yeah.
The message for everyone, right? Or not for everyone, just kind of specifically for, what did you say, 18 to 34-year-olds?
19 to 30.
19 to 30-year-olds
19 to 30.
In the United States, here specifically, but if this is a trend there, it may be elsewhere, might be here in Germany as well, is to not do that. Right? And
do not. I remember back in the day when I was speaking to my doctor, he said, "Do you use alcohol?" And I laughed, like, "What do you mean, do I use alcohol?" Do not use it to fall asleep. Even if you know that it has a soporific effect, enjoy that if you happen to use it, but do not take it in order to fall asleep, because that road ends poorly.
Well,
Trust me.
Yeah. Well, and even if it's not extreme, it's poorly the next morning. I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
I can't fall asleep, and you just have an extra couple glasses of wine, and that does the trick, and then you feel horrible all day the
because
next
of
day.
the homeostatic recovery,
Yeah.
which is what I talked about with those stages of sleep getting messed up. REM sleep is not there. Don't do it.
By the way, great use of the word soporific.
Oh,
I think that needs to be noted. Speaking of notes, community notes, and in this case, fact-checking social media posts. For those of you who spend as much time or waste as much time as I do, just cruising around the internet on your surfing the web.
I don't do that
until you end up in a swamp. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there. There are posts that are either flagged as disinformation, as false, as misleading, or not. And this study here is specifically about the ones that are. What happens on a social media platform when they flag something? Hey, this has been debunked. Hey, this is false. There is an immediate drop, 46% fewer reposts, at least on the platform X, formerly known as Twitter.
Great.
Hey,
Okay, so I have a Facebook account. Is that what we're talking about here, Facebook?
we were talking about X, but yeah,
X.
yeah.
If I post something on X and then it gets flagged, what happens then?
Then it's flagged. But what I'm talking about here is who's doing the flagging, because it's normal users.
Got you.
Sort you can kind of think like a Wikipedia approach. These are normal users engaging with the content using a back-end tool. The concern is, what if you get everyone on that back-end tool who's politically one direction? Left, right, up, down. You might
Let's go around and flag everything we don't like?
Yes, that's what I thought. How do you solve that problem? The majority rules, or the tyranny of the majority in this case. How do you solve that problem? And it's with something called bridging-based ranking behavior. I'd never come across that term before. What is bridging-based ranking behavior? It's when you say, okay, of the people who are now agreeing that this content may be false or misleading, how many different perspectives are represented? If Conor has tended to disagree with Gabe on most things, almost everything, and yet on this issue, this correction of misinformation, he and Gabe are suddenly very much in agreement.
So then that would be a green light. Despite their differences in opinion.
Yes. And once it gets the number of bridges built between people like you and me in that scenario, then the note comes out. That is how that works on the back end. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, the paper is called Community Notes Reduce Engagement with and Diffusion of False Information Online in the journal PNAS.
I got one last thing before we go. It is for the multilinguists out there, at least bilinguists out there. This is a huge study done out of about a number of universities in South America, looking at 80,000 participants from 27 countries in Europe. If you know more than one language, what effect does that have on your biobehavioral age gap?
On my what?
So what that means is...
Oh, I think I know what it means now. But
your biological age compared to your chronological age, which means the actual number of years that you've lived on planet Earth. Your biological age measured using artificial intelligence, looking at all your health data, your cardiometabolic health markers. You can use that to get a sense of how old you are actually, and then compare that to how old the number of years, like I said.
Your age is technically, you're 63 years old, but if we look at your biomarkers, you have the body and mind of a 55-year-old.
Right. If I only speak one language, my biobehavioral age gap is going to go way up. So it's going to be twice as likely that I'm going to age faster compared to the people who speak more than one language. And the more languages you speak, the higher that effect happens. So
you can up it with more and more languages.
Yes. The more languages you learn, the polyglots out there, the multilinguists out there.
I'm going to go for some of the easiest languages out there and just pile them on up.
Well, how many do you have right now? You got Spanish.
I've got, I speak 3 languages.
You could learn Dutch. You could learn Norwegian. Those are super easy. No articles.
Because they're so close to the German. I don't think you can game your biobehavioral gap in that way.
Well, the biobehavioral gap is strongly associated with cognitive decline, dementia, mortality. The higher it is, the more likely those bad things are as you age. So the takeaway here is, if you don't know a second language, learn one. It's never too late. And if you know one, dust that baby off and use it.
Dust that baby off and use it.
Yeah.
That's great advice. I'm just going to speculate here on the back end of that. My suspicion is that one part of that may be Well, let me just say it. A friend of mine, a guy that I play soccer with, he's on my team, and he was on the island of Rhodes in Greece and went to Turkey, took a ferry over to Turkey, and he was in awe that these people hawking all sorts of knockoff products, fake Ralph Lauren, fake Gucci, fake watches, that they spoke 5 languages fluently. Not just enough to sell you stuff, fluently. He speaks German, English, and Russian, and so he could hear that. Yeah. And it led me to think that if you can do that, you are very socially active daily.
Right, especially if you're using them a lot.
Well, that's the only way to keep a language fresh, is to use it. So part of that may be that if you are really fluent in 3 languages, which I would say at this point I'm like 2.5 languages, then it's because you're socially engaging big time as well. Maybe a part of it.
I mean, it's a huge study, 80,000 participants, but like you say, it is absolutely association here. So this is not causality, but it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
And as we go, before our second half segment, like I said, it's going to be about stress and sleep. We've got something for you. Deutsche Welle has a slowly read news segment.
No.
And normally we give you music in the middle here, but now you're going to get the news.
Wait, real quick.
Because if you know a little bit of German, maybe this will...
Can I just preface this by saying I wish all of you the best. This is German news read very slowly, and it must be one of the hardest jobs to do, to take a language and read it so slowly that beginners can understand. We wish you the best of luck.
Just let them enjoy it.
Donnerstag, 13. November 2025, 9 Uhr in Deutschland. Der längste Shutdown in der Geschichte der USA ist nach 43 Tagen beendet. US-Präsident Donald Trump unterzeichnete am Mittwoch einen Übergangshaushalt. Kurz zuvor stimmte mit dem Repräsentantenhaus die zweite Kongresskammer für den Übergangshaushalt.
So, this next one is for all of our worst sleepers out there, all of our insomniacs who are listening to these words right now, and also to the one who's sitting across the table from me right now.
No, I got into work yesterday, and a dear colleague came up to me and said, "Gabe, it looks like you haven't slept in 6 months."
You do kind of look like that.
Yeah, and I laughed it off.
Well, I tried to defend you. I said that may be body shaming.
Yeah,
which is the wrong. No,
thank you for looking out. You're my brother's keeper, I guess.
Yeah, that was the wrong use of that word. But
seriously, this interview that's coming is about a huge factor, or one huge difference when it comes to why people cannot fall asleep at night.
Science Unscripted.
Okay, thanks for having me. My name is Stein Massar. I'm a sleep researcher at the National University of Singapore. And I recently co-authored a paper on stress, sleep, and insomnia.
Stein, what would you say is the chief conclusion or finding in that new paper?
People respond differently to stress, and some people are more vulnerable to stress than others. And this can show in their sleep. They can show sleep disturbances, problems falling asleep. And what we were looking at is like what makes some of these people different than others.
Let's go ahead and get into your experiment, because that's what I liked about your research. You had 2 groups of people responding different ways to stress.
Well, as you could imagine, like people respond differently to stress, and some people they get like an upset stomach, or some people get like headaches or migraines, and some people have problems sleeping when they're stressed. And as sleep researchers, we were particularly interested in this group. So we screened 300 people based on how strongly they experienced sleep disturbance when they were stressed. And we invited the 30 highest and the 30 lowest scores to follow them in their day-to-day lives.
Okay. So you took the 30 people who had the worst reactions to stress and the 30 people who had the best reactions to stress and therefore had the better sleep or the worst sleep?
So what we did is we followed them for 2 weeks, and every day we asked them like how stressed they felt, and we also tracked their sleep using a sleep tracker, and we also asked them like how restless they felt like when they were in bed. Like this is what we call pre-sleep arousal. This could be like cognitively, so like having racing thoughts or worrying over things, or this could be physically, like having elevated heart rate or sweating.
I'm just going to speculate here that if you've got the 30 most stress-resistant people and the 30 least stress-resistant people, that on a day-to-day basis, they're going to experience probably roughly, as a whole, the same amount of stress, right? And so why then, the people who can't deal with that, only they end up going home, hopping into bed, and then having elevated heart rates, racing thoughts. It's them. They just can't deal with that and therefore can't sleep.
So what we see is that like basically everyone shows like a bit of that, but like those people who are more vulnerable like show that to a much higher extent, and it's indeed the idea is that like what's like however we can control our thoughts like while we're trying to sleep, while we're in bed, that will actually help us to like eventually fall asleep and like sleep through the night.
What do we know about why some people have so much trouble with dealing with stress? Why do some people have their thoughts racing? Because I know that feeling very well, and I'm wondering, just from a personal perspective, why can some people do it well and some people can't?
It's that's a very good question, and like this is something that we haven't figured out fully. So we have looked at like several differences like between the two groups in terms of like their psychological makeup, and what we saw is that like those people who were more vulnerable were on the whole like more anxious and more stressed and tended to be like more depressed. What we also saw is that these people tended to have like what we call like a more emotion-focused coping style. So when they are dealing with stress, they focused more on how they felt and on the feelings that were associated with that stress, rather than focusing on working on solutions.
A lot of our listeners around the world are hearing your words right now in the middle of the night. This program is broadcast at all sorts of wacky hours between midnight and like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And so I guess one question I have for you is distraction helpful for insomnia? If somebody is listening to us right now because they cannot sleep, is this helping them or harming them?
So, first of all, I feel for them. I'm also one of them. If you seek distraction, so if you lie awake at night and you seek distraction, this can be helpful, but there are a couple of things to take note of. So when you seek distraction, like don't do something that is like extremely arousing. So like that further like amps up your racing thoughts or wakes you up very much.
And Stein, what do you do? What helps you the most when you're lying in bed and your thoughts are racing and you just can't fall asleep? What's your go-to?
I can give you the official answer, and I can give you like the real answer.
Don't even give me the official answer. Let's skip the official answer and go straight to the real one.
Yes. So I'm personally I'm bad at following my own advice. So when it comes to lying awake at night, the main advice would be like don't go and check your clock. Don't go and check your phone. Don't go scroll your social media. And this is something that I often find myself doing when I am a little bit better, and I can find other things. Some things that I do like to do is like listen to a podcast or like journaling. Find like more calming things to do outside of bed, and find some ways to distract yourself without arousing yourself too much.
And for the people listening right now who are not good at dealing with stress, that's a lot of people out there, what can they do during the day so that before they even get under those bed covers, and I know that feeling where the bed covers are starting to get too hot and too warm and I'm too sweaty, my thoughts are racing, what can I do during the daytime to help prevent that?
During the day, like do what you can to tackle the problems that you're dealing with, and go to like in that way, like go to bed in a more satisfied manner, like knowing that you've done what you could, Of course, this is not always possible, and there are limits to what one can do. But being able to really work on solutions is something that can help people feel better about their stress.
And that was Stein Massar, a research assistant professor at the Center for Sleep and Cognition at the School of Medicine at the National University of Singapore.
I loved how honest he was, especially after the interview finished. I asked him if the bit about mindfulness, the advice he gave about developing that relationship with your worries, does that work? And he goes, no.
For him personally?
No. For him personally, no, it doesn't. And I think that itself is kind of a tip. If you're trying to fall asleep at night and your thoughts are racing and you feel like there's nothing you can do, don't try and worry too much about it, because that will lead to the next level of desperation where you think it's completely hopeless. It isn't in that moment.
You're a worse sleeper than I am for sure. Yeah. I'm not very good. I have my own insomnia, but I'm better than 2 years ago. 2 years ago, it was out of control, racing thoughts going through the night, and it just kept going. Whereas now, again, I think every tip is personal at the end of the day, and that's why I asked him about distractions, because last night it was 1 a.m, still couldn't fall asleep. We'd had a very stressful day at work, and it was connected to that. I could not sleep, and what worked for me personally was going to what did he call it? A non-arousing media source. I have mine. It's called Arte. It is a publicly financed German-French television video production thing.
You popped on some linear TV?
I used the app.
The app, okay.
Yeah, but it's not the most exciting stuff, but it's really good and it's really deep. And I watched for 1 hour the band The Who because their 1977 performance at the Kilburn.
Okay.
And
sure.
For some reason, they'd gotten the footage and they put it all together, and that got boring for me after a while. It was interesting. A couple songs, Baba O'Reilly, Who Are You?
And then you were so tired you couldn't even get up the stairs to your bed, or
Pinball Wizard. It just shifted. I couldn't think about the things that were causing my mind to race. I was looking at Pete Townsend doing that windmill guitar thing and wondering whether the drummer was on drugs because he was so fast. For me, it's a distraction that helps really well. And also knowing that, hey, I've been here before. I can get through this. My mind's racing, and it's about things that don't fundamentally matter if you can zoom out to the universal level. These trivialities, the quotidian garbage, it doesn't matter.
No.
What matters is the Who. at 1 a.m, 1:30 in the morning.
It's all about arriving at a place where we're comfortable not being able to sleep. That's where I'm at. What about you guys out there? What do you do to distract yourselves? Does it have anything to do with the 1970s rock band? The Who? What do you do? Or how do you deal with stress?
Please let us know, because we will share those tips on next week's episode. I think it's almost the more unique and sort of bizarre sounding, the better, because those are the ones that work for some people.
And we're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
SUDW.com.
Science Unscripted.
GW, made for minds.